Welcome once again to the School of Prayer and Intercession as we come to a closing segment on the dimensions of power. Now, one of the things that we picked from James is that the effectual fervent or the persistent prayer of a righteous man, it makes tremendous power available. The issue here is persistency in prayer, and I would like to introduce you to what I call prevailing prayer, and we'll use a case study to understand it properly. Acts chapter 12, verse number 5. Peter has been put in prison, and the Bible says, therefore, Peter was kept in prison, but prayer was made without ceasing of the church unto God for him. And prayer was made without ceasing, my God. And prayer was made without ceasing. The reason why prayer was made without ceasing is because the intention of the prayer was very clear. They wanted Peter out of prison. Now, maybe for a background for you to understand, the reason why they wanted Peter out of prison is that in the previous chapter or segment, James had been beheaded because of the gospel. And when James was beheaded, it shook the church so much that it pushed them into prayer. Now, when they heard that Peter had been arrested, they knew that the fate of Peter was to be beheaded, and they could not embrace losing another pillar of the church. My God. Paul actually describes Peter, James, and John as the pillars of the New Testament church. So the risk of losing a pillar was not good, because if a pillar goes, it means the structure might actually collapse. No wonder why the Bible says you strike the shepherd and then you scatter the sheep. So they could not bear it. So it pushed them to prayer. And one preacher said when they were sleeping, or when they slumbered, or when they had slowed down in intensity, that is when James was beheaded. So they realized we got to get back to the place of prayer. And they began to pray without ceasing. Now, one of the practicals that we're going to do in the next couple of days is that we're going to segment 24 hours. And we're going to ask each and every one of the prayer warriors on the platform to select their hour of prayer. So I looked at the number, we're about 16 or 18 of us. So probably we're praying 1 hour, 10 minutes, 1 hour, 20 minutes, thereabout, to make 24 hours. And we want to do that. We want to get into prayer without ceasing of the church. Are you hearing me? Why do we want to pray without ceasing of the church? The church is under attack. The church is under a serious onslaught. So just as Peter was in prison, I also think that the church has been put in a tight spot, which calls for us to get into prevailing prayer. Prevailing prayer does not take no for an answer. Prevailing prayer does not stop until it sees a result. Prevailing prayer, my God, does not stop until angelic intervention takes place. And this is exactly what happened to Peter. So in verse number 6, the Bible says, and when Herod have brought forth the same night, Peter was sleeping between two soldiers, bound with two chains, and the keepers before the door kept the prison. So people were praying, and Peter is in jail. And the Bible says, and behold, the angel of the Lord came upon him. Now power is now at work. Power is being made available because an angel appeared upon him. And a light shined in the prison. Look at power. And he smote Peter on the side and raised him up, saying, arise up quickly. And his chains fell off his hands. Makalabo shatabahaya. The chains were not taken off. My God. They fell off when power was made available. They fell off. They fell off. They fell off when power was made available because of prayer. So when people are bound by demonic oppression in church and there seems to be no change, it means power is not available. But when prevailing prayer is engaged in, power is made available, and chains, they begin to fall off. And the angel said unto him, Gird thyself and bind on thy sandals. And so he did. And he said unto him, Cast thy garment about thee and follow me. And he went out and followed him, and wist not it was true which was done by the angel, but thought he saw a vision. You see, when power is available, it defies the senses. So Peter actually thought he was seeing a vision. He thought he was asleep, and yet this was happening real time. Hey. Verse number 10, when they were past the first and the second ward, look, these guys are walking. I don't know where the guards are. I don't know where the security apparatus is. But these guys are walking and they are passing through the stages of prison. The Bible says they came unto the iron gate that leadeth into the city, which opened to them of his own accord. Which opened to them of his own accord. The door, the gate just opened. And they went out and passed on through one street, and forthwith the angel departed from him. And when Peter was come to himself, he said, Now I know of a surety that the Lord hath sent his angel and hath delivered me out of the hand of Herod and from all the expectation of the people of the Jews. And when he had considered the thing, he came to the house of Mary, the mother of John, whose surname was Mark, where men were gathered together praying. They are still praying. The result of the prayer is now there, but they are still praying. And Peter knocked at the door of the gate. A damsel came to hearken named Rhoda. And when she knew Peter's voice, she opened not the gate for gladness, but ran and told how Peter stood by the gate, by the gate. And they said unto her, Thou art mad. But she constantly affirmed that it was even so. Then they said, It is his angel. Beloved, these are dimensions of prayer that I want. These people, they did not even want an angel. They want Peter himself. So they said, it must be his angel. So what they wanted was Peter. They wanted a result for their prayer to the extent that an angel was not good enough. They wanted Peter himself. Am I talking to somebody? And this is one of the few inferences where we get the idea that angels can manifest in the similitude of a person we know. I don't want to get into angelology. It's a complex subject that we'll study later on as we proceed with prayer, but I don't want to get into it now. And they said unto her, Thou art mad, but she constantly affirmed it, even so, and said, It is an angel. But Peter continued knocking, and when they had opened the door, they saw him, and they were astonished. But he, beckoning unto them with the hand to hold their peace, declared unto them how the Lord had brought him out of prison. And he said, Go show these things unto James and to the brethren. And he departed and went into another place. Now listen, beloved, I want you to understand here the effect of what is happening. When Peter was released from prison through the power of prevailing prayer, what message does it communicate to the enemy? That we had imprisoned somebody, we chained them, and now they are out of prison without us opening the prison for them. What message does it send to the enemy? It sends a clear message that we serve a mighty God. We serve a living God. And beloved, this is what we have to grow into. We have to grow into a place where the living God is known by humanity through us. We have to become God carriers. Evidence of the reality of God has to be seen through us. So the lesson I want you to know is that prevailing prayer is what produces tremendous power. And you only grow in the dimensions of power through the discipline of prayer. The more you pray, the more you grow in dimensions of power. More prayer, more power. No prayer, no power. Am I talking to you? So think about the things that I'm saying, and I think this marks probably what I can call the close of season 1, School of Prayer and Intercession. We'll be back with this school probably in about 2 weeks' time. We'll be back with this school, but now we are getting into practicals of prayer. We're getting into practicals of prayer. Otherwise, God bless you. Have a lovely day.